Hello everyone, and welcome to Cause and Effect, a show about VTS. My name is Anders Löv, and these are my co-hosts, Adam Esbjörnsson and Isak Esbjörnsson Bjärmark. Bjärmark Esbjörnsson, probably it should be. Anyway, this is the pilot of the show, and today we're going to talk about the deck who won the Swedish Nationals. I'm going to turn this over to you, Adam. What kind of deck are we talking about here?
As the deck says, it's a Shambling Hordes deck, but it's not a typical speed Shambling Hordes, a Swiss one. It's a 90-card deck that aims to play Govern and other allies as well, which I think is how Otto wanted to play, how we played it, and yeah, it seemed to work really well.
What are the benefits with playing a lot of governs and a lot of other allies as well, compared to just speed shamblings?
Well, of course, it's the biggest advantage is that you'll be able to govern conditioning a lot better because of Sidario and 2 copies of governs, 2 copies of Proclamancy, and 2 copies of conditioning. A normal speed shambling deck might only have 1 govern and 1 conditioning. So you'll be able to go for the oust, but a bit easier. You can have a govern conditioning on hand, take 1 Sidario action, get 3 lead cards back, and then go govern conditioning once more.
Okay.
I don't actually agree. I agree on the point where Adam is saying that the benefits with this Crypt in the less Shambling Horde focused version of this deck is that you get more dominate, but I don't think that Otto necessarily put as much dominate lead in as he could. I think he aimed for a more stealth heavy compared to bleed heavy deck. If you see the 7 Call of the Hungry Dead and the 7 Spectral Divinations are quite a lot actually in the Shambling Hordes deck.
Yeah, and that could actually help ousting even more than bleed cards could possibly.
Okay. Isak, you actually won a big tournament playing a Shambling Hordes deck a while back. What are the differences with this deck and the deck that you played?
First off, the Crypt. I did not play Stefano, Andrea, Giovanni. My highest capped vampire was Isabel together with Living Soul, so I had a much lower Crypt average, and I did not play Top Dog, so I also had a much wider Crypt, making for less superior necromancy and less superior dominate. So I think that's like a key point. With this deck, probably ends up having more superior Shambling Hordes than the deck I played during the ECO Prague.
But I actually like the Top Dogs in this deck quite a lot.
Okay, why is that?
Well, obviously because of the Shambling Hordes, they have to remove a minion, and the vampires. There are a few vampires in the Giovanni group through 2-3 Crypt that are really good, like Isabel, of course, Rodolfo, of course, and with a Crypt slimming card like Top Dog, you'll be able to get all of those strong vampires. So if Isaac wants like lower cap minions, he'll be able to get them easier, and if Otto wants more dominate, he'll be able to get that easier.
Okay, so the advantages with Top Dog is you can use them to get the Shambling Hordes, right? And slim the Crypt.
And possibly go fetch Cult of Von Wyk.
Okay.
If you could also play with other allies that don't have any clan or discipline specific requirements, like Ocean, for instance, or maybe even some blood-stealing ally, say Youngbloods or something like that. But I think actually Otto made the Crypt not 100%. I think that he should have had at least 1 copy of Gloria Giovanni in.
For dominate deflection?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's a 4 cap, superior dominate, inferior necromancy.
Yeah, Gloria Giovanni is actually, in my opinion, quite bad. He's one less pool, and he has potence instead of superior dominate. I don't know.
Well, going on and leaving the Crypt, I think we're having like that quite a lot now. What do you think are the main strengths of this deck, Isaac?
The archetype or this version of the archetype?
The archetype as a general.
The strengths are that if you end up in a low combat meta with few combat ends, it's really, really easy to control the table. You basically rush everything to torpor. Before or after villing, doesn't matter. It's easy to torporize. And if you end up in a meta that's low combat but high combat ends, say, for instance, Majesty, then you have so many Shambling Hordes out early enough, so you'll probably get them to waste all their Majesties or similar before they overpower you. So the strengths are you can control a non-combat environment very easily with the Shambling Hordes. And then looping defensive cards with Sudari Refraction on another Sudari Refraction and, for instance, Awaken a Delaying Tactics or Awaken a Deflection.
Okay.
Those are the two main strengths, in my opinion.
Adam?
Yeah, of course, I agree with Isaac. And I'd like to reiterate strength of Sudari Refraction. It really, really makes the deck be a long-term focused deck. It's not a build-up deck in the sense that you get a lot of stuff, but it will keep on being very strong throughout the entire game, I think.
How key would you say Sudari Refraction is to this deck?
It's critical. I don't think it will be a good deck without it. It's required to oust, I think, and it helps so much with the defense.
Okay, because a lot of people are talking about the Asher tablets and those cards nowadays. Do you think that maybe they could replace the Sudari Refraction in this deck?
I'm of the opinion that Sudari Refraction is stronger, actually, because it's an action with instant yield. Asher Tablet is 3 multi-phase actions until you get and even then it's only 1 card to your hand. The rest of them are delayed until you draw them, of course. But also I'd like to point out how also made this deck. It's evident that he focuses a lot on the long term because of how much blood gain he keeps in the deck. Like the 6 little life in the city. It's really, really, it's a lot. I don't think I'd include that much because maybe I'd focus more on short term. But it's evident that he likes the long term focus on the deck.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more specifically the strong aspects of this deck and this version of this deck. You were talking about the blood supply. Is there any other main features of this deck that's strong compared to other types of this deck?
You have a lot of more stealth than I think you usually see. The Call of the Hungry Red and Spectre Divination, 7 of each. That's a total of 14. So you can easily handle Slight Block, Second Tradition Domain, such cards. You won't be able to handle, for instance, an Auspex Weenie or any other dedicated blocker. You can also take care of, say, a Star Vampire that's blocking you. So that's one of the strengths with Otto's version. Also, I think that's one of the... He chooses to play Trocomancy. Nowadays, that's a no-brainer because of the huge... Or maybe not a no-brainer, but almost a no-brainer. The huge amount of liquidation Asher Tablet decks that play. Yeah. You get a lot of the benefit out of playing 1 or 2 Trocomancy during the deck. And we saw that actually in the finals when he won.
Yeah. Moving on, weaknesses of this deck. Adam, what do you think is the main weakness when playing this type of deck?
Of course, I think I already touched on it. The Auspex Weenie is a given weakness because of how they'll get minions out and block your Shamblings. That's okay,
but is it more a problem for this deck and any other type of deck? You always get screwed by Auspex Weenie.
Not all decks.
Not all decks. Some decks can handle them. But allied decks are like notoriously bad against Osprey Sweeney, in my opinion.
Especially this version, because he lacks maneuvers. If you get an early setup with a Shambling Hordes that play maneuvers, then you can get one Shambling Hordes. They only have like one Osprey Sweeney. You manage to call the Hungry Dead. That Osprey Sweeney, you get to Shambling out. You torporize the first Osprey Sweeney, and then you end up torporizing every new Osprey Sweeney gets out. But if he gets to conceal a Magnum 45 out, then he will lose automatically, because he has more or less.
Other weaknesses than just on the Osprey Sweeney.
Anything that's early game, I think it's because of how the Sidario is important for defense. You kind of need a Sidario in your ash heap and one on your hands. You need to be drawing 2 Sidarios to get the defense up, and until that happens, it's not harder to oust this deck than any other deck. So a good dedicated stealth leader should be able to oust it if it does it fast enough.
So this is really a long distance kind of runner deck.
Yes, in my opinion, it is. Because
needs a lot of
the unmasking and the allies works as well. You can't block the first 2 bleeds, because then they'll have obfuscate, but eventually they run out of stealth, and then you can start blocking. So even the defense package is long term in that sense as well.
Isaac, do you have any thoughts on the build-up of the deck now? It's maybe really weak in the beginning.
I think, unfortunately, in one way, Otto have made it to survive the early game by playing 7 deflections and 2 delaying taxes and 6 on the key div. That's a lot of defense early on. But on the other hand, chooses to only play 3 Sidario Refraction, which makes getting the Sidario Refraction loop harder. You need 1 on your ash heap and you need 1 on your hand. So you need to have drawn 2 out of the 3s once in the deck. And since above that, he's also playing Liquidation, that means it's kind of easy to get 1 or 2 Sidario Refractions in your ash heap early on, and then if the 3rd Sidario Refraction is in the bottom of the library, that's pretty much an entire game without Sidario Refraction. And and concerning weaknesses, as you mentioned, we forgot to mention a dedicated presence bleed deck would have a lot of entrancements, and that would be a huge problem. Or even a law firm playing entrancements. And those 2 decks will also probably play 1 uncoiling, depending on that deck creator's view on the meta.
Also, something that we haven't touched on is it's a 90 card deck, and I'm of the opinion that any 90 card deck, even liquidation based, should never exceed around 80 cards. So it could be slimmed down a bit, remove a few interaction cards, maybe a few Shambling, some Masters, and I think it'll be more efficient in that way. But it's not a specific weakness; it's more like a general weakness.
What kind of decks do you want to have to be a predator when you start playing this deck?
I'd love to have some kind of high cap bleed deck.
Without
it's never fun to be hunted by girls because they have the entrancement also, but say the geezers will find inner peace, like the old Crypt with Hood support, Arika, and those guys playing power bleed. That's great. So you can then you can play Sidario on 2 deflections, have 2 guys stand up to be able to deflect, and if you need, you rush one of your Predator's guys to torpor, you benefit from his speeds, you get an early ECVP, and then you probably end up not getting ousted and then win the table.
Also, not to take anything away from Otto's win, but I think his Predator, this tournament, was a Stickman kind of deck with the Ventru Crypt, not the Ventru under Tribute, but I think that kind of deck is quite good as well, because of how the Ventru will need to more or less kill every Shambling it needs to get through. With unmasking, not even bondings will help themselves through actions, and darings don't work. So I think Stickman kind of deck is quite bad for ousting.
And of course, any bleed deck that's hunting this deck is good because you have a lot of deflections as well. So
Because of the loop, yes, that's correct. But you get weak if you get if you don't get Shamblings, because they're your bread and butter. It's the core of the deck. It's the way you control the table and lean the table.
So the key aspects of defeating this deck would be to block the Shamblings. Am I correct?
Yeah, and here Otto made a kind of smart decision to play more calls. The problem with that is, at least for me, there's usually not that much block. So those 14 out of 90 cards could end up just with dead cards. Especially the calls, they're not as easy to use for stealthing a bleed through.
Yeah.
Because they are only worked on one minion, obviously.
Moving on. How do you think this deck should be played to win? What is the main strategy to winning, Adam?
I think using rushes to out, like if you have a prey that has defensive minions, like a deflection minion or anything that wants to block you, you should. The Shamblings are key to killing those vampires. Get your prey low on resources and then oust him, I think. And the Shamblings used defensively. If you need them to be used defensively, you'll just stay untapped and block instead of back rushing. Because how you want to deflect with stealth.
Yeah, I think a lot of people make the mistake that they try and rush backwards with their Shambling Hordes. Do you have this impression, Isaac, and why do you think that is, and is it wrong to do that?
Backwards rushing? It totally depends on the table, because as I see it, the deck is supposed to be played not slow in the sense not having action, not using it, but slow in the sense you don't have to get excited and stress up and do this whole setup to get your prey early on. You can play for the long run. You use your Shamblings, you get more Shamblings, you use Sudario on Shamblings when there's time, you put more and more Shamblings into play. At one point you will have a critical amount, say 4 or 5 Shambling Hordes, you can rush and you can defend, and in the end you will be in a spot where no one can touch you. You have some liquidations, you will have a pool gain, a pool amount that's decent, 15, 16, 17 pool. You will have a best case 5 Shambling Hordes in play, maybe 3 Giovannis with this Crypt because it's a bit bigger, and you can just sit back, rush the guy's torpor, Sudario up some bleeds on your hand, and then go for the oust. Early on, you could start getting your first prey at, say, the 1 hour and 20 minute mark, something like that. I think you can play it with that big a coolness.
So it's just the main strategy is just keep it cool and start building. Like we said earlier, it's a long distance runner.
Yes, but it totally depends on the situation. Sometimes you have to recognize that, say, an Auspex weenie needs to be rushed instantly. But if you have like La Sombra Nocturne deck hunting you, your predator is La Sombra, then you need to rush him before the Nocturne hits the table and can defend his guys and such. So you also have to be flexible enough to know when do I need to hit them hit them hard.
But that's a really good strength of the deck. It's very versatile. You can rush and you can bleed and a lot of things like that, right?
I have something I thought about. Do you think that any deck that gets strong fast, you just can kind of try to top it in build up? You build up a little bit more, and when you have a little bit more build up, you'll try to finish your prey or predator depending on where it's more of an issue. Like the example you gave were La Sombra Self-Bead and Auspex Weenie. Both of them are incredibly fast builders. They'll get to that situation 45 minutes in and they'll be in the same situation during the entire game, unless they've already won, at which point they'll have 8 minions. But anyway, so a low build-up kind of deck you'll need to be more aggressive with, of course, and if someone else tries to build up as well, you can try to match them, exceed them in build-up because of how deck works.
And when you get to the late game, you also have to be wary of those on the table, especially your Grand Predator and Grand Prey. They will have been saving up combat defense if they play it. And if they don't play combat defense, if they have any means of cross-tabling ousting you, they probably go for it if they're a really good player. So if they play like a boat-heavy deck and don't have any majesties, you should be aware of potential cross-table ousting, and therefore safe with delaying tactics.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Okay, moving on. Are there any other variations to this deck that you would like to make a shout out to?
The Castor's Diary deck is kind of similar, depending on what kind of version you want to do, but the Oyon Useless version that won some tournament in Prague did play some Shambling Hordes. And those decks can, for the untrained eye, be difficult to tell apart when you see them. It's basically the same Crypt. The library is possibly 75% the same, maybe even more. And you even have some Shambling Hordes. The only difference is that you go for some Khazars and different allies, a wider variety of allies.
Adam, do you have an input here?
No, not for the specific deck. The one that I'm talking about.
Yeah, do you have any other decks or any other variations of this decks?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. There's one of the decks that were in the EC in Mallorca who played a Spanish guy, I think, who played a Sidario, but like a power bleed with Shambling. Sorry, not Sidario. It's a slip of tongue. Power bleed with Shamblings, that's quite similar, but has a lot more governs and uses the Shamblings partly as a trick and partly just as advanced mind node.
Yeah.
Would you say that?
That's one of the Iñakis.
Right, yeah, that's right.
Okay, well, sweet. Well, I think we should take our last few minutes and talk about what Otto did in the finals and what made him win, actually. Adam, what do you think about his performance with the deck in the finals?
I think he played
Swedish national finals, I should clarify. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I think he was very aware of the time limit. He is a player that is very aware of the time limit, and he realized quickly that he will be able to kill Stefan quite early. If not before Stefan killed Ville, at least after Stefan killed Ville. And at that point he will have 1.5 VP. So he took it slow, didn't try to rush anything, and I think he waited it out because he realized he couldn't be killed.
What situation did he play? What the environment? What was his prey and predator?
His prey were a Vises will find deck. There's a Council of Power Bleed, something like that. And his predator were a Stickman kind of deck with Lodin of Holte. So he could block as long as he got. When he got 2 or 3 Shamblings out, he was pretty much safe, I'd say. And Stefan was in a really bad spot. He didn't have enough majesties, which Otto find out as soon as he started rushing down Erika and Toto. So at that point, I think he realized he will be able to get 1.5 victory point at least, and no one else will be able to match that, given he was first seed, I think.
He was first seed, yes. Another thing with the finals is that he didn't want to rush it, also because of Ville sitting as his Grand Prix. We're playing Nana Beruke, Nangila Vere, Liquidation Asher Tablet Rush deck with Potence and Animalism, and they would just rip the Shambling Hordes apart. So if Otto went for an earlier VP, he would have a stronger Ville as prey, and Ville would have been forced to basically back oust.
Okay. The last deck is Grand Predator.
Yeah.
What What kind of deck was that?
Daniel Tage, he played a regular standard stickman with Owen Evans as the biggest vampire.
So, how did the finals pan out? What happened?
Stefan got Ville down to 5 pool and failed to oust an Archon investigation, after which Otto managed to kill Stefan, giving him the first victory point. And then, when it was 3 minutes left of time, Daniel Tage managed to oust Henrik Klippström with some Stormlake bleeding. And that's how the victory points were.
And went to time.
Yeah, 1.5 for Otto, 1.5 for Daniel. So Otto won on seed, higher seed.
Okay. Do you think there were any key moments in the game where Otto played especially good with the deck?
From the start, he chose the right strategy, keeping tabs on everybody's seed and choosing the right path. Like, this is my seed, these are the decks. If I get 1/2 late in the game, then it's possible that someone else gets 1/2, but then it ends up on time and I win.
Okay.
And you really have an advantage for like a 1.5, 0.45 table split in a finals if you're the first seed.
So to summarize, it was really intelligent playing all along and like strategy for him to play.
Yes.
Okay. Sweet. Well, I would like to say congratulations to Otto for winning the Swedish National Championship. And do you have anything else you'd like to add to our conversation, Adam?
No, just if you like this, I think you can ask us questions. So next time.
Yeah.
And I'm done.
Isaac, any last thoughts?
Just the same thing. If you like this, watch it, tell your other VTS buddy, and ask us questions, and we'll try to take them up next time.
Okay. Yeah, so, like I said, thanks a lot for listening, and it's been a great time for us talking about VTS. We're going to try to do this once a week. We're going to try and post on Sundays or Tuesdays, and we'll be sending it live and posting it as well afterwards on different channels. You can keep a tab on our Facebook that we're going to upload to all the regular VTS hotspots on the internet. And we hope to see you soon. And of course, if you have any questions or any comments, you can comment on our Facebook page, or you can send an email, which we're going to post on our Facebook and such. Anyway, this has been a pilot for Cause and Effect, show about VTS. My name is Anders, and this is Isaac, Wave. Yeah, and this is Adam.
Bye-bye.
Wave. Okay, and remember, every cause have an effect. Have a good night.